Hi there, just sending you this video so everyone that's working with me understands how to read their program. I just want to go through how the program's laid out. So we're going to start off with the notes here. So what I'd really like you to do is read the notes before every single training session and at any other time around that as much as you possibly can, because the notes are really going to help ensure that we get good quality training. If you're working with me, it means you're either competing in something or you have some pretty lofty goals you're trying to achieve. So basically, you're serious. Now, the best way to achieve those goals, best way to accomplish what it is you're looking to accomplish is through good quality training and training with intention and purpose. Yeah. So, for example, before training, before every set, if you're a powerlifting client or strength athlete, it might be if you're a hypertrophy or physique client in a strength phase, we've got to go in and ask, right, what is the intention and purpose behind this set I'm about to do? What am I trying to do here? Just think about the squat. So it may be, okay, what I'm trying to do with the squat is set the bar on my back, achieve tightness through the upper back, achieve tightness through my core, make sure the weight is distributed on my foot where it's supposed to be, and you'll know this because we'll be talking about it before you get the program. Am I trying to lift the most amount of weight I possibly can here, or am I trying to ingrain good technique? Am I trying to focus on specific cues, etc., etc.? If you're a physique or a hypertrophy client, or if you're a strength athlete that we're working with, and you have, for example, some accessory work, so some lighter work after the bulk of your main kind of competitive work is done, typically we're going to be using more so-called isolation exercises, lighter weights, higher reps. So with this, if we're training the biceps, for example, what I really want you to think about is, okay, the purpose of this set, this set of dumbbell curls, is to make sure that I'm really focusing on achieving maximal contraction, maximal recruitment of all the fibers and motor units in the biceps as much as I possibly can, rather than just going, oh yeah, I'm just going to do this bicep curl, so I'm going to sit down, swing the weight around, and I'll do 4 sets of that, and then I'm done, I'll move on to the next exercise. No, we want every single set to have intention, and we need to make sure that we understand the purpose behind the exercise that we're doing and behind each set, okay? After you've performed the set or the exercise, did it achieve its purpose? So very simply, if your biceps are a little bit sore, or you get a little bit of burning or a bit of a pump in the last couple of reps, for example, in the biceps, yeah, it achieves its purpose. If you're not, then it hasn't. So either you need to correct your form, you need to focus on what you're doing a little bit more, or maybe you just need to use a different weight. So it might be if you're using a weight that's just too heavy for you, yeah, you're going to be using lots of assistance muscles to get the weight up and not really focusing on the biceps. It might be the weight's just too light and you've got to move that weight up and start progressing on a little bit more. So did it achieve its purpose? Pretty much stay away from failure. So there's going to be times in your program where you are definitely going to be told, go to absolute failure, yeah? But this is going to be at most twice a week, and typically only really on smaller exercises. There are going to be a few instances for specific clients, for specific reasons, you're going to be told to go to failure, because we're trying to test and see where you're at right now, that's all, yeah? So don't think you've got to go to absolute failure. Normally, near failure has been shown sort of in many studies and through sort of my 17 years of experience to give you just as good a result as absolute failure. However, with absolute failure, you're not going to last too long. So going to near failure is going to give you just as good a result. It also allows you to stay away more easily from injury, and it means that we can keep training 52 weeks of the year non-stop, rather than going, oh, I'm really tired because last week I was just maxing out all the time, yeah? So again, there's going to be times if you're a strength athlete in a peaking phase, you might have weeks where, yep, it's all about maxing out. That's part of the program, but don't start looking at failure unless it's specifically stated, and we will be have a conversation about that anyway. Follow the program. It sounds really simple, really obvious, but in life it's the simple and obvious things that aren't often done very well. So just follow the program. If it says 3 sets and you feel like you could have done 5, drop me a note, put a note in the program, send me a message, let me know. We'll look at rearranging things for the following day or the following week, whatever it might be, yeah? Complete the exercise with correct form, biggest range of motion you can. So this is typically, again, looking at assistance exercises, or if we're in a hypertrophy phase, or if you're a physique, hypertrophy, bodybuilding client. We don't want half squats, we want full range of motion squats. It doesn't necessarily mean you've got to go arse to grass, because some people are just not cut out for that, but we want the biggest range of motion you can. Now really be aware of this, and again, this comes back up here to intention and purpose, around there. Be aware of this when you're getting fatigued, maybe towards the end of the set, or towards the end of your total number of sets. As we get tired, the body likes to work on a principle of minimal energy expenditure, which basically means it will do the most efficient thing possible, which is great for survival, not so great if we're trying to train well under fatigue, because we'll start so-called cheating reps, we'll start cutting range of motion, using weird and funky movements to get the weight up. So just be aware of correct form and big range of motion. If you're training the legs and the quads, we want to make sure in the leg press, for example, that you're coming as low as you can until your back starts to leave the seat, and also to comfort level. So don't be training big range of motion if it means pain. Let me know. Progress is rarely linear. We would have had a conversation around this by the time you get this program, but it's always worth noting. Some people start to freak out and panic if they plateau. It's okay. A plateau is not a bad thing. We can think of a plateau as a good thing, because it means you've been busting your ass and the body's going, hey, I need a break. We need to stop and let everything catch up. Yeah, the plateau is not going to last forever. Similar to weight loss, you might lose 10 kilos over 5 weeks. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to lose 2 kilos a week exactly. But if the aim is for 10 kilos over 5 weeks, which is actually quite a lot, so it probably won't be that much, it might be 3, 1, 2, 1, 1, half, 1.5, something like this, yeah? Same with your training. So don't expect it to be linear. If it is, just enjoy it, because it's probably not going to last very long. And finally, contact me if you have any questions or any tips on exercises. If I've put an exercise in your program and you're a little unsure what that is, or you've not heard of it before, don't just Google it or YouTube it. Because there's a lot of shit out there. You're paying me to coach you to the best results. So let me do that, yeah? Let me know and I'll send you a video, or I'll find a suitable video on Google or YouTube and say, this is how it can be done, okay? So these are some basic foundational notes, yeah, that can apply to everyone. Now, for each of you, we've now got some individual notes. So just put some examples here. So it might be stay tall in the squat. So if we're trying to improve your technique in the squat, or improve your body position on the eccentric phase, we might use the cue stay tall. That works for you great. So in your program, you're going to stay tall in the squat. It might be if you're doing some lateral raises for your side delts, for example. Very often with this, people tend to lose position and end up with sort of more of a pump or more fatigue in their upper traps, for example, than the shoulder. Sorry. So if this is you, we'll figure that out, and we'll put in something like, tucking your chin, retract your scapula with lateral raises, because that's the best way for you to start feeling this in your side delts. Again, it comes back to these more foundational notes of intention and purpose. It might be that we find to activate your quads in the leg press more, and we might use the cue push the midfoot into the plate on the leg press to get adequate quad activation, you know. And again, these are going to be individual, so don't sort of run away and think you've got to do all this stuff. Yeah, it's going to be individual to you. If you're doing some low abdominal work and at the end of the set or end of the multiple sets, you're going, my hip flexors are really tight, I don't really feel my abs working too much, or I feel my obliques working. Well, the target muscle here is the lower abdominals. So if you're feeling your external obliques and your hip flexors working, we've got to figure out what's going on. So it might be, for example, for you as an individual with low abdominal work, you've got to keep the lower back pushed into the bench and limit your range of motion initially. Yeah. So the individual notes here really are going to be specific to you, and these are going to shift and change from program to program, exercise to exercise. So I hope that's been useful. You read through these notes before every training session, and as much as you can at any other times, because they're all going to lead to more purposeful, more mindful, and a greater intention with your training, which is always going to get you better results and stay away from injury.